All right. Hi, everybody. We're getting started here. I'm Becky Byers, and I am the Assistant Director of Admissions for the University of Idaho, and my office is actually located in Coeur d'Alene, so not super far away from you in terms of location. And the little link that I put in the chat is hopefully you can take just a minute while I'm talking to fill that out, or you can go to it later today if you are later. I'll change it so you can do whatever you want to. Go to that link, and it's just basically to update your contact information with us and your interests, and make sure we know that you attended the presentation, and can connect with you on any future events and scholarships and things like that. So if you're not on the mailing lists already, especially, you'll want to fill out that form so that we can stay in touch. I will ask a quick question. I'd like to make this interactive. And as Ms. Ruby said, you can either turn on your microphone and ask a question if you'd like. Feel free to do that, or put it in the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat just in case somebody's typing in there. But my first question, I'm going to go ask, and hopefully you can see this, is have you ever visited the University of Idaho? Yeah. All right, so since it's a small group, this is going to be a quick poll, right? So no was the big answer, but one person has visited, which is great. A lot of times students visit for multiple reasons. Maybe they know somebody at U of I, so it's more of like a, you know, go down and see a friend or something like that, or a sibling. Sometimes it is for a specific event, like the Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival or Engineering Expo, or those kind of things that we host on campus, which are all great opportunities to visit. Another visit is an academic visit, where you go and do a campus tour and you learn about different majors, or you go to an event. So we're going to talk about some opportunities to do that for those of you that haven't visited or that would like the opportunity to visit. So the next thing I want to talk about is just a little bit about me. I actually attended the University of Idaho, and I was a transfer student. So I went to North Idaho College first, and then went to the University of Idaho. My undergraduate degree is in English with a minor in history, and I appreciated the opportunity to be a transfer student. And so I work with a lot of students that actually go to a community college first. Maybe they go to Spokane Falls or one of the other local community colleges. And so if you have any questions along those lines, I'm happy to help with those kind of questions too, about how transfer credits could apply towards a U of I degree. I do want to try to show a quick video for those of you that have not visited U of I. It's very brief. Let me see if I can do this real quick. And all right. Okay, hopefully you're seeing my screen here. Let me know if you're not. All right. Make this a little bit bigger.
Ah, a breakthrough. Is it a moment? Is it a series of moments? Is it a blip? An all-nighter? A semester from hell? Maybe a breakthrough is a breakup, a breakout. Who knows? But in the unexpected town of Moscow, Idaho, it could be all of those. It could be more than those. It could be studying saltwater fish farming 500 miles away from an ocean, or fearlessly fighting cybercrime. You could have a breakthrough while virtually mapping a breakthrough video game. Whoa, a double breakthrough. Maybe it's found in school pride. Maybe you find it in a pivot or a fulcrum. What's a fulcrum? Maybe it's in the dirt. No, the sky. No, the stars. So start up. Start over. Try, fail, repeat, breakthrough. Nobody knows when yours will happen or what it'll be. But at the University of Idaho, discovering it is just a matter of time.
All right, I like the video because it's brief, but it also shows some really exciting scenes on campus of student life, like the rec center, activities that are happening, of course, our sports and things like that. But it also gives you a peek at some of the academic programs and the hands-on learning that happens at U of I. There was one specific program that's actually new to U of I that they mentioned. We have a new degree this year in cybersecurity that we're offering to students, and it's the only one in the state of Idaho. So we're excited about that in our computer science department. But if you haven't visited U of I before, just a kind of a rundown of some things that students often want to know about. We have almost 12,000 students on campus. Most of them are in Moscow. We do actually have outreach centers throughout the state. So we have a Coeur d'Alene center where I'm working. We have certain select programs here right in Coeur d'Alene. We have programs down south in Boise and Idaho Falls as well. So, but the majority of our students are living and working on their degree programs in Moscow. We're small enough that it really feels it's more of a mid-sized university, but small enough that you get a lot of personal attention, and it's about a 16-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So especially in your upper division courses where you're taking classes in your major, you get a lot of attention from your faculty and professors. But we're large enough to matter in terms of the work that our faculty and students are doing together. In fact, 2/3 of our students actually participate in research at U of I. So, and a lot of times when I say research, students are like, well, how would that apply towards my specific major? Maybe I'm interested in, psychology, for example. They tend to think of research in the science majors, which definitely happens. We have a lot of science students that do research. But let's say you are psychology. We have a lot of students that want to be counselors, and they go into psychology, and they're researching things like addiction studies. What's the best approach to counsel somebody with addictions? That's a research project. We also have, all different majors like exercise science and health. They have actually a facility on campus where they're studying sedentary lifestyle versus a healthy, active lifestyle and what impact that has on your heart, as well as obesity and things like that. So research can really be done in any of the majors that we have at U of I. And in fact, we have 94 different majors on campus, and we say we have 300 different academic programs because there's all kinds of different combinations of those majors. So for example, if you are an environmental science major, there's not just one track that you follow for environmental science. There's actually like 5 to choose from. So there's a social science option, there's 2 physical science options, there's a biological science option. So they're not necessarily cookie cutter degrees that we offer. And in fact, we also have students that double major, and we have students that do minors or certificates to add to their degree program and whatever their career interests are. We also have some special programs like ROTC, and that's where you actually become an officer as you're going through school. And then you work in the military, obviously, after school, but it gives you some great scholarship dollars to pay for the majority of your schooling. We also have an honors program for those students that are high achieving and like extra research opportunities, extra classes and speakers in the honors program. It's a great opportunity to actually live with other honors students if you want to. So the honors program, if you have any questions about that, just let me know. We also have a WAMI program. WAMI is actually a medical program. So we have a number of students that are pre-med at U of I, and they complete their bachelor's degree with us. And then they can go into our WAMI program. We have 40 seats that we reserve for students, or they can go into any medical program that they want to apply to as well. We also have a law school. So that's actually in Moscow as well as our Boise campus, in case you are a pre-law student. We have a lot of activities to do on campus. It's very much a small town community where you can walk off campus and go to coffee shops and go to concerts and little thrift stores and all these great downtown areas that are just within walking or biking distance. But on campus, we have over 260 different clubs and organizations and intramural sports that you could potentially participate in. So there's always something to do on campus in terms of a vibrant student life. In fact, if you don't know, we do require our first-year students to live on campus for that first year, and there are 2 options for that. We have the residence halls, and the residence halls there's a couple different styles you can choose from. One is the tower, for example, and that's more of that traditional style of a residence hall where you think about in the movies where you walk in and there's 2 beds and 2 desks, and then down the hall is the lounge and the bathroom, and you go to the hub to eat your lunch. So that's more of a traditional residence hall for first-year students. Specifically. We also have living and learning communities, which are more like apartment style living, and they're sometimes thematic. So for example, if you're going to be in the College of Natural Resources, there's an area specifically for the College of Natural Resources in the living and learning communities, and it makes it easier for them to create study groups and kind of network, and we're all taking similar classes, and so you have that immediate connection with your studies if you like that kind of opportunity. We also have a very exciting and fun, vibrant fraternity and sorority life. If you've ever heard of Greek life, that's another opportunity for you. If you are very social, if you like the idea of maybe taking on a leadership role, there's a lot of that happening in the Greek system. And there's also a lot of philanthropy. So if you like making a difference in your community and want to be a part of community service, that is also a big focus of Greek life. So what we do is we have students kind of figure out which way they would like to go. We have virtual tours on our website. Of course, you can actually visit in person to U of I right now too, and we'll talk about that. But it is a little bit more limited in that we don't want students going into the residence halls right now, just for safety purposes for our students and for the students that are visiting. So it's a little bit more limited right now than it normally would be. But you can go to our website and do some of those virtual tours. Check out all the information about that, and kind of go from there in terms of if you're thinking residence hall versus Greek life. 60% of our first year students go into the residence halls versus 40 in the fraternity and sororities. And we actually have 26 houses in fraternities and sororities to choose from if you go that route. And you go through what we call recruitment to go into that particular option. Any questions about that? Not yet? Okay, so make sure you can put them in the chat. Again, you can do the microphone if you want to. Another focus at U of I, we're Division I in terms of athletics. So I run into a lot of student athletes that have questions about which teams we offer and how scholarships work and things like that. And if you have any questions along those lines, I'm happy to connect you to our coaching staff. It's always best if you reach out to them because they have some specific rules about how many times they can reach out to athletes in high school. So I'm happy to help you make that connection with them. I'll ask another poll question to see if we can get some interaction here with what I want to know about you. Because it always helps me to kind of have an idea where you're coming from in terms of your college and your college goals. So next poll question is, what excites you about the idea of going on to college? Is it studying something you're interested in, living on campus, all the student activities that you could potentially do, leaving home and being on your own, or preparing for your future career through all of the cool things that you can do on campus? All right. One more second here. And of course, I think all of those things are honestly very exciting. So it's hard maybe to even choose that. But the top answer was preparing for your future career through classes, research, and internships. Absolutely. So we have a lot of opportunities to do that at U of I. We have basically, we have career services advisors, for example, that their whole job is to make sure that you're prepared for your career. And that's all stages of your preparation. So while you're taking classes, they are helping you if you have maybe a part-time job or something like that, and that you want to have help with resume writing, writing a letter of that you'd like to go ahead and apply for that particular job. They're helping you prepare for career fairs. They're helping you with your interviewing skills, all of those things. They're also helping you with internships, for example. And an internship, if you're not familiar with it, is basically you get college credit for working at a company or organization that relates to your particular career goals. So we can offer internship, and we highly encourage that if it's not already built into your degree, which a lot of times it's actually already built into your degree program at U of I. So each of our colleges has a representative that works specifically with students in that particular major to help them prepare for your career. We also have advisors that assist you every single semester at U of I with picking out the classes. And so if you're thinking, okay, I'm not sure if I'm in the right major, or I'd like to add something to my major, they're going to help you with that process and make sure that you're on track to graduate. We're excited about our students and where they're coming from and where they're going, but it's also a little nerve-wracking when you think about going to college. So the flip side of that coin, if I ask another question here, is there anything that actually makes you nervous about going into college? So I listed a couple options there: figuring out your major, that can provide some stress, being away from home, making new friends, or the fear that maybe you won't make new friends, fear of failure, the cost of education, or maybe you're not afraid at all, right? Okay, so it's It's pretty, those are the three things that you all indicated. Being away from home, it's totally normal to feel a little bit homesick if you go away to school, even if you go somewhere that's relatively close, right? Like U of I is not super far away, but it's normal. We have a lot of students in the first couple of weeks of the semester where they're feeling it, and they just have to hang in there, and they'll be okay. For the most part, it's just getting used to somewhere different. Fear of failure, that's obviously something that a lot of students are worried about. They've never been to college before. Maybe they have dual credit or something like that, but really the process of actually being in college is new. So it's normal to have that fear of failure. Just know that there's resources out there for you. So if you're struggling with your classes, there's free tutoring available, for example. There's study groups. There's other people that are there that their job is to make sure that you're successful. So you just have to reach out when you have that fear of failure and make sure you're kind of preparing for your classes and doing the best that you can do. The cost of education is a big one. Everybody's nervous about cost of education, right? I mean, that's a thing. I've got 3 kids and I'm gonna have to help pay for their college, and obviously, so it's a big thing, and I think we should address that in terms of how we help students that are from Washington at the University of Idaho. So I'm gonna share my screen again, and I'll let you know a couple things here. All right, maybe I'll share my screen. Got too many screens up. Hang on, be patient with me. Get out of this. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about is the Western Undergraduate Exchange. Hopefully you've heard about the WUI before. A lot of institutions offer the WUI, right? So the WUI is basically an opportunity to get a discounted rate at University of Idaho. So instead of paying our out-of-state fees, which nobody wants to pay, right? When you think about going to a college or university that's out of your home state, that's a big consideration, is how much is it going to cost? How many scholarships do they offer me? But we actually offer WUI for all students that are from Washington or any of the Western states automatically. There's no GPA requirements. You don't have to have like a 3.0 or something like that. We're just going to give it to you if you're admitted to U of I, which we'll talk about here in a second as well. So this is a little bit of information about WUI. And basically what you have to do is once you get WUI and attend U of I, you only have to maintain a 2.5 GPA at U of I to keep your WUI each year, from year to year. So here is a cost comparison that you can see. So this column right here is what Idaho residents are currently paying to attend U of I. Obviously the housing and meals and things like that, they're gonna be the same. We're not gonna charge more to a non-resident student than we would an Idaho student. Where the difference is the tuition. So nobody wants to pay this non-Idaho resident fee. What you would be paying is the WUI. It's basically 150% of our in-state fee. So about $12,000, a little over that, for a full year at the University of Idaho. So if you're in for your bachelor's degree for 4 years, this gives you an idea of what it would cost for WUI. Okay, so there's no application for that. It's going to be automatic, like I said, just by you being admitted to the University of Idaho. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Well, if you do, don't hesitate to ask. But the other thing I want to mention is that we offer $25 million in scholarships to our students each year. So we have no separate scholarship application. That's also done with an admission. If you are eligible for a scholarship, we can give that in addition to the WUI. So we'll look at you for scholarships to see if there's anything in addition to that discounted rate that we can give you. All right, another kind of highlight about U of I, we have the highest graduation rate of the 4-year schools in the state of Idaho, which means to me that our students are happy in the programs that they're going into and going to stick it out to get to that end goal of their bachelor's degree. Our median mid-career salary for our graduates is over $97,000. And a lot of times people are like, median mid-career salary, what does that mean? Basically, if we check in with our graduates as they've kind of established themselves in their career, so maybe 15 years after graduation, our average salary for our graduates is over $97,000. So they're doing pretty well. And the other thing that we were really excited about was just a couple of weeks ago, U.S. News and World Report announced that we're the best value of the public universities in all the Western United States. In fact, for the entire nation, there were only 2 universities that were ahead of us. It was Chapel Hill and University of Virginia on the East Coast. So we were excited to have that recognition, that our students are noticing and our graduates know that we are a great value for what you're getting for your education and what you're spending in your tuition dollars. That was a national recognition that we recently earned. So let's talk for a minute about the application process. I'm assuming you guys are seniors, and some of you may have started the process already, but we're encouraging students to apply right now to the University of Idaho. And our priority date is December 1st, if you are thinking of applying for next year, for fall 2021. So I put the link to apply if you like to check out the website. It's a pretty simple process. What we're going to ask for is your current high school transcript to see how you're doing with your GPA. And then if you have your test scores, we'll ask for your ACT or your SAT test scores. And then there's also, for residents of Washington, there's a $60 application fee. So those are the steps. The application itself maybe takes 45 minutes at the very most, sometimes 30 minutes. For a lot of students, they go through it a little quicker. So it's not a hugely complicated process. There's no letters to provide or essay to write or something like that. We do have some short answer questions that we ask, and it's important to take a little bit of time on those because that's actually where we determine if there's other scholarships you might be eligible for. So that's where you want to spend a little bit more time. But otherwise, it's just collecting information about you and what your goals are for our application process. Now, if you haven't been able to take your ACT or SAT given COVID, what we're doing right now is if you have a 2.6 unweighted high school GPA or higher, then we will automatically admit you without those scores for now. So if you have them, you should send them. But if you don't, it's okay if you have that 2.6 GPA to send your transcript for now. We do still encourage students to take the ACT or SAT this year if they can. And that's because we may not need them for admissions if you have that 2.6 GPA, but we will need it for like placing you in classes potentially. So let's say you take your SAT and you score really well in math, then maybe we can skip a course in college because of that score. So it is nice to have those scores on hand to see if we can help you through taking classes maybe at a higher level than you normally would. All right, any questions about that?
We had a question about, sorry, it was back when you were talking about out-of-state tuition.
Yeah.
And if she planned on attending U of I for all 4 years, does she pay out-of-state tuition all 4 years, or at some point does she become a resident?
No, she would pay the WUI rate, right? Not the out-of-state rate, that 12,000
Yeah.
versus, right? No, you have to move to Idaho for purposes other than education, be at some point considered a resident. Your whole family moved
Okay.
there, or, you know what I mean? Or she established and she was working in Idaho, you know, more as a non-traditional student. But moving to Idaho, you know, if you're just going there to go to school, then you don't become a resident for those
Okay.
3.
That makes sense.
Great question. Any other questions? The other thing that I know about scholarships too is that if a student doesn't get a scholarship right when they start at U of I, in addition to their WUI, every single January, February, early spring timeline, our faculty and our different programs get together and they look at the current students to see if there's additional scholarships that they can give them. So if you don't get one your first year, they do continuously look at students to see if there's any scholarships. I had no idea that was what happened. And years ago, I remember getting a letter in the mail, I think it was my second semester at U of I, and saying, hey, we found an additional scholarship for you because based off of how you've been doing. So that's another thing to know, is that even if you don't get a scholarship up front, there's potentially a scholarship down the road that you could earn. So December 1st is the priority financial aid deadline for U of I, and what that means is that we would like your application and your FAFSA in by then. And that's because if you're in that first round of admitted students, and also we have the FAFSA, then we will give you a financial aid package early. January, February. So then you have a better idea, especially if you're looking at multiple universities, what's this going to look like if I come to U of I? What am I going to get loans, which most people are eligible for, Pell Grants, which are more need-based, work study, anything else that we can potentially offer you, you would know about your financial aid package in that early timeline of January, February, if you do that process, you know, before December 1st. Okay. So there are A couple of events that you may have heard about coming up, especially if you're already on our mailing list. We have Envision, which is an event actually held in Moscow. We had one on October 4th and had about 100 or so students and families show up. We're expecting, I think, about a similar number of students to come. And that's Saturday the 24th, so that's Saturday coming up. The next couple of days, it's the last time that you can register for Envision. Let me put the link in there in the chat in case you want to take a look at it. But basically, it's an opportunity to tour campus, get to know our student ambassadors that are currently there. You can learn about academic programs. You can look at the whole campus in terms of if we're fitting what you're looking for. I always encourage all students to take as many campuses as they can, because each college or university definitely has a different feel, a different vibe. This is a Saturday, and that's on purpose. Not only we do Envision on a Friday, but we have students on campus. And so we want to make sure we're spreading our students out for safety concerns. And so Envision won't be as big as it normally is, but it is an opportunity to go to Moscow in person on Saturday for Envision. It's the last one we'll have this fall. And then we have some virtual events coming up, including Meet the Vandals. Meet the Vandals for our out-of-state students is on the evening of November 10th. And that's a virtual opportunity that you'd be invited to participate in and get to know U of I a little bit better through an evening event. All right, and if you do visit campus, let's say Envision doesn't work for your schedule, but you would like to go down, we are doing campus tours Monday through Friday and select Saturdays. And of course, with face coverings, we limit the number of students per tour, I think to 15, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that includes their families, 12 to 15, just to keep everybody spaced out a little bit. But you can visit, and I put that link in the chat as well. If you'd like to take a day and go down, do the tours, and then at that time, you can also meet with a certain department. So if you're interested in our virtual technology and design degree, for example, you could schedule a meeting with that particular department to have a little bit more in-depth conversation about that particular program. Or if you want to know more about financial aid or anything like that, we can help set up those personalized kind of visits as well. All right, any questions about any of that? Hi, Alexis, thank you for joining us. We were just saying that if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, or you can turn on your microphone, but you don't want to turn on your camera because we are recording the presentation. And I do want to show you a resource really quickly. Let me see if I can get in here and share my screen again. This is our virtual view book. Actually, let me put this in the chat too, so you could check it out if you wanted to while I am showing it to you. But let's say you want to know about U of I, but you're not quite ready to visit, and that's perfectly okay too. This is one way to get to know U of I pretty well in terms of what we have to offer. So let me share my screen and show you. All right, hopefully everybody can see this. But basically what you do, this is the ViewBook website. I click on Get Started. And all right, so again, 94 different majors that we have to offer. If I click on these kind of topic areas, you'll see all of them listed. So you can go and you can choose two, just to start with, that are interesting to you. If you notice the difference, we do have BS next to bachelor's degrees, or BS, you know, it just starts with a B, basically is the easiest way to remember it, because there's all kinds of acronyms that we use here. If you see something that starts with an M, that is a master's degree. So that's after the bachelor's degree. And you could explore that if you wanted to, but most students were starting with the bachelor's degree, right? So let's say I am interested in food science. I'm going to click that one, and then I'm also thinking something in health. This is actually a doctorate of athletic training, if you see that. So again, that's another level in entirety. So let's say medical science is my other one that I'm going to choose here. And you can choose to, but then you can change this. If you explore those degrees and you're like, yeah, not for me, you know, you can come back and actually change this, and I'll show you how to do that. So in terms of student life, you can choose as many things as you want to. So let's say I am thinking of the honors program, and then maybe also ROTC, right? We have all four of the branches of ROTC of the military, which is kind of awesome. So, and then I'm going to put in my contact information. I'm going to be my pretend student. And a lot of times students, when they get to this question, are they a freshman or a transfer, get a little confused. Freshman is somebody who's coming straight to U of I from high school after graduating. Transfer is somebody who they are going to another college first. So they go into community college, another 4-year school, and then come to U of I. Maybe it's a year from after they graduate from high school, but they want to that option first. Dual credit does not make you a transfer student. Sometimes students think, well, I have like a bunch of dual credit. Am I a transfer student? Not in terms of your student status, if that makes sense. And I'm going to change this to Spokane. You can see that it brings up some Spokane specific information. And what is it? Spokane Valley. We'll go with that. Okay, so going to click on view now. This is the video we watch. We don't need to watch that again, right? This is more information about U of I. This is where you can do our virtual tour. I'm not going to click on it because the nice lady will talk and she won't stop talking if I click on it. There's all kinds of different locations on campus that you can check out with the virtual tour. There's pictures, there's videos, all kinds of great things to look at to give you a better feel for campus if you want to do the virtual tour. I'm going to click on next. I can do next, or I can just click on these tabs at the top. So this is another video that is here, and it's more regarding student life. Quick video there if you want to watch that. I specifically indicated the honors program, so that's why this information is showing up here. And then the next thing I said was ROTC. So this is very tailored to what you put into the options. This is a little bit about U of I. It's a beautiful location. Our students are very into the outdoors because there's camping and fishing and hiking, because obviously we all live in the Northwest, right? It's a beautiful place to be. And in fact, part of our rec center that we have on campus, students have access to the rec center where they can work out, talk to a nutritionist, go on the climbing wall. But they also have, as part of that, you can rent equipment in the rec center and go out, like say you want to rent a kayak or something like that. You can do that and then go kayaking on one of the local rivers. So just a little focus on that. The academic side of things, this is actually about research. It's a quick video there, but I chose those two specific majors, right, in food science, as well as I must have chose apparel, textiles, and design, or things that I did. So this is information. I think this is just a synopsis, but if I click on learn more, that's where I'm going to actually see like a roadmap, for example. What are the kind of classes that I would be taking for this particular major? What are the careers that people go into with this major? What is that particular industry looking like? Is it growing in terms of job opportunities? Clubs, organizations, anything to do with that major. If you click on learn more, then you'll be able to see that if you want to. Okay, and if I change my mind after looking at these majors, up here at the top right where you click on edit, that's where you can choose to look at different majors. So here's also information on housing. They have the residence halls. There's a video here, more visuals of the residence halls. That's the tower that I was referring to for first year students. Fraternity and sorority life, a little bit of information there. And then as we keep going, you're going to get information again on WUI, since it knows that I'm from Washington. So you can see the WUI information in here. And then next steps, right? It's going to walk me through the process of applying for admission, scheduling a visit if I want to, or anything like that. And then it puts you in contact with me because it knows that you're in the Spokane area. And so I'm your local representative to connect with. So this is a great opportunity to kind of explore U of I in a very, very tailored kind of view for you. Okay. So that was the information I really wanted to share today. But again, I'm here more for answering questions in case you have them. So did any of that prompt any more questions for you? Okay, well, the great thing is you can actually, if you want to, take out your phone and scan my little QR code that's hopefully showing up on your screen. What that does is actually put my contact information in your phone. You have to open your camera, and it should automatically try to scan that and download my contact information. It also has an opportunity in there. It shows you like the link to my website. I have a website where you can schedule a virtual meeting with me. So if you have more questions where it's like, that pop up, don't hesitate to schedule a virtual meeting. We'll just meet online, kind of like this, and go over any questions that you have about the process. So that's a great tool to use as well in case you have any questions. But I thank you so much for your time. And I hope that you reach out anytime something comes up that you have questions with. I'm going to go turn off the recording just in case somebody wants to ask a question without the recording. Thanks again.